and it depends how strong the intention was. The object, as I said, depends a bit what object it is, so that influences that imprint, that action. So when we do the action, it leaves a mark on the consciousness. And we all know that. You do a positive action, something that you really went out of your way to help somebody, in a very kind way. You think about the action, now it's long finished, what happens? Nothing? Huh? We feel good about it. You think about the negative action that you, maybe when you did it, you thought it's not negative, then you see this list like me, and you go like, oh wow. What happens? We get all hot. And we feel fear. Because we know. So even if we don't know the law of cause and effect, our mind seems to be able to tell us what is positive and what is negative. Now, of course, I know also there is people who do a lot of negative actions, and we see them and they seem to be totally happy about it. I don't see these terrorists as happy people, even if they cheer when they kill some people. Because also they have to be running away all the time. I don't see somebody who's such a good cheater or corrupt that he earns millions of it as a happy person. As a person, happy in the sense of relaxed, peaceful. I don't think so. And we never know. We see them, we think, oh, they are happy about this. How do we know? We don't know. But we can look. The only thing we can know is how we react. That's the only thing we can know. We can only know our own mind. And karma is about our own mind, not about, what about those that? Those that, they're not here. And we can't control them. The only thing is we can either rejoice when they do a lot of positive things, or we can have compassion when we see that they do a lot of negative things. That's the only thing we can do. So that is the karma, which creates this impulse. Then we have this karmic seed, or the mark, that has a potential to ripen. That then is what is called the karmic result. So you have karma, which is the action, the karmic seed, which is created through the action, which then will bring a karmic result. So sometimes when things go bad, people who know about karma, they go, it's my karma. As if, again, they use it as if it's something that's been thrown on them from somewhere else. I've never heard anybody say until now, and I keep repeating that in every course, and I'm still waiting for a person to come who's really well to tell me, I have so much positive karma ripening at the moment. It seems as if karmic results, they're only the negative ones. The good things that happen to us, it's not karma. It's also karma. So on this level where we are here, it's actually already a positive action if you abstain from these 10 negative actions. So we don't even have to be saving lives and being generous yet, so that it becomes a positive action. You see the mosquito, you have an impulse to kill it, you go, no, I'm not going to kill it. That you create positive karma at that moment. Let me finish and then you can ask your question. So then these karmic seeds, they ripen again in 4 different ways. This is what makes it so complicated. It's not like mathematics, 1 and 1 is 2. So these 4 different ways are, one is called the ripening result. That means if you did a karmic action with all these 4 factors present, the intention, the object, the action, and then the finishing the action, it creates an imprint that will create your next rebirth. That determines your next rebirth. So when it's a negative action, it will be, now I'm just talking Buddhist so that it makes it really easy, it will be a health state where you have incredible suffering and no Red Cross to help, no laws, no judges to help you to say, but it's not my fault or whatever. You just suffer. Incredible heat, incredible cold, aggression all the time, paranoia, fear all the time. That's the health state. Everybody is out to kill each other or to torture. Then the hungry ghost state, this is where there's greed, never finding enough. Whatever you see, it looks very attractive. You go there, then you can't have it anymore. Again, if you want to take this into the human realm, anorexia is a little bit like that. These people who have anorexia, they see the food as totally disgusting. If you look at them, when they look at the food, this is what I think what they see, something, ugh. They cannot eat it. This would be something that is remaining from a hungry ghost existence, a habit. I finish, okay? I finish?
No, I just wanted to say that they're looking at an enemy. Because one of my students were...
As poison, as disgusting, as like, they would never eat this. You know, even an enemy that we hate, we would prefer to eat that one so it's gone, it's finished. But it's like, yeah, poison, like, ugh, it's totally... So this is what happens as a hungry ghost. Everything that you see that would be eatable, is you cannot partake of it, and then you suffer. It's constantly from hunger and from thirst. But again, anorexic people, they can be helped. Not always, but they can be helped. If you're reborn in a hungry ghost state, you cannot. You have to wait until that karma finishes. So when they have these habits still in the human life, that is just what is remaining, habits. Okay, or animal. Animal is also considered a rebirth that comes from a negative action. Why? Because your mind is not very receptive for these things. You cannot practice. You cannot make progress on the path. Of course, you know, if your mind is very negative, then much better to be an animal than a human because you create less damage. But if your mind is positive, then the human potential is much better than that of an animal. And I know there are animals who are incredibly compassionate and extraordinary, and you can find them on YouTube and in the Facebook and all these things. I know that exists. But there's few of, if you look at how many animals exist, there's very few of those. So the chance that will be one of those, chance that will be Lassie or Flipper or I don't know who, is very, very small. Probably the young ones, you don't know these animals anymore. That's when we were kids, there were these Flipper who saved everybody and Lassie who, the collie dog who would save everybody also, and very clever. So the ripening result, positive imprint that ripens, that would throw you or bring you into an upper realm, like human, or a god realm, or a demigod. Unfortunately, we don't have so much time to go into that. But just an existence where you have where it's easy, where it's comfortable. So that's the throwing karma. So the throwing karma is on this one seed that throws you into that existence. It depends at the time of death in what state your mind is. If the mind is negative, it throws you into it activates or it ripens a negative seed. If your mind is positive state of mind, it activates a positive seed. We have both on our mind stream. Then in that lifetime, you have, sometimes suffering, sometimes happy, so things change. So you have what is called completing karma. So these are imprints that come from actions that maybe were not so strong, not such big objects, or not complete. This is why it changes. So the other result is the environmental result. According to imprints, destructive or constructive, positive or negative, your environment is either very peaceful and very easy to sustain yourself, a lot of harmony, it's quite clean, it's quite healthy. That would be a positive imprint. And a negative imprint is like in the environment, it's very difficult to sustain yourself. Usually it's that one. Not enough water, a lot of storms, all these things. Or, yeah, good crops, and you don't need to put irrigation, the water comes from the sky, it's no problem, it comes at the right time, these kind of things. So that's the environmental result. Then there is the result that is similar to the action. Like the same thing happens to us. Now that can be from a negative imprint. So first you have a reborn in a lower state. Then you are reborn as a human, which comes from a positive imprint, but you still have residues of these karmic imprints, and somebody harms you, somebody steals your things. People don't ever believe you what you're saying. That is a result of lying all the time. Your life being constantly in danger, or you having a body which is very sick, and that you die very young. Again, it's a result of killing. Your relationships being totally not harmonious, that is also sexual misconduct. Depression, Lama Zopa Rinpoche says, is a result of sexual misconduct. You having been the adulterer or the rapist. Makes sense. So that is one, that would be okay, I think. That would be okay if it would ripen on that level, then we can say it's a sort of punishment. Like when we do these negative actions, we have a debt towards somebody, it happens to us, debt is paid. So we could accept it, that's fine. But there's another ripening which has to do with the ripening of negative things upon us. We start to react again in a negative way, and this we have a habit. Sometimes children are already born with this habit. They're very cruel or they're very compassionate. I think it's Venerable Robina who always tells the story. She had a friend and her son had lice, and the mother was trying to comb them out, and he said, "No, please, mommy, do not harm them." 4 or 5 year old child being so concerned about the lice in his head. So but you can have other children who are very cruel. So these are habits of past lives that we have acted like this. And that's the dangerous one. And the habit also, you see, if you're quite peaceful and compassionate and you're just sitting there, and all of a sudden everybody starts to attack you, you start to get angry and you start to hit back. If everybody always steals your things and you feel that your government is totally corrupt and they're cheating you, you also start to cheat. If everybody else around you in the office is going home 1 hour earlier and you always have to work 3 hours more because they're all gone home, you start to also do the same thing. The ethical conduct is so difficult because it comes easy when it is easy, when we don't have to give up on anything, and when it's not expensive. Then we're quite ethical. If it costs money, if we have to give up on things, then we start to, oh, but I had to do it because. That's fine. You see, it's not the 10 Commandments. Be careful. The Buddha doesn't say, thou shalt not do this. The Buddha says, if you do this, this happens. That's it. And the Buddha is not creating the hells. Hells are created by the mind. And I forgot one of the most important wrong views, meaning the belief in inherent existence. The belief that what we see is really true. The belief that we are real humans. The belief that this world that we see here is totally real. And then we go, and the hell realms, they're not real. They're just created by the mind. But also this is just created by the mind. Whether this is pleasant or unpleasant, it is created by the mind. And this is what we don't see. We don't see that this is just a dream. It's just a movie. And this is why we defend ourselves, and this is why we create. This is why karma is created. You see, if you understand emptiness, that mind does not create karma anymore, because there's nobody to create karma with. But then you can be very clever and take that argument and say, oh, how nice. There's no other. Therefore, I can do whatever I want to do. But as long as you believe in an inherently existing me and self, for you, there is a real other. This is the thing. This is the worst wrong view that we have. So, you got these 4 results. The ripening result, the one that throws you into your next existence, when it ripens at the time of death, the mind activating that imprint because we want to exist. Then in that life we have sometimes nice things happening, sometimes not so nice things happening. That is the karmic result of past actions, the residue that is still there. So for example, if people are very compassionate to you and very patient and very giving, even if you're very stingy, I've seen it happen. These people, all of a sudden, they also start to give. It's just that we're not patient enough. Like before, somebody asked, what if you're very kind and people exploit you? Well, the feeling of being exploited is a sign that you don't really want to be kind, that you don't really want to give. Or you have already in your mind created a limit, but the other person doesn't know that limit. And then you get angry when they kind of... But if you just want to give, and I used the example of me here coming to Israel, I do get the dana, they give me the dana, but even if there's no dana, I would still come. Because I'm not coming for the money. So I give my time, these 2 months that I hear, also in private talks, and I know that sometimes people, the Dharma friends say, you have to give dana. Then you don't have to give dana. I'm here that if you want to talk to me, then I talk to you. I listen to you mostly. And then sometimes I can say something. So, what did I want to say now? So I could also go like, oh, these Israelis? Come on, I work so hard for them, because I do work hard sometimes. And they never, they don't give me anything. They're exploiting me. I could think like that. It depends on the motivation that we have. Do I really want to give? This is why also, if you volunteer for volunteer work, but already in your head is, oh, but I'm not doing this, and I'm not doing that, you'll never be a happy volunteer. If you make the decision, whatever is needed, I will do, then you'll be happy. You think, it's such a great thing of generosity. I give my skills, my body, and my speech, and my intelligence. If I have time, I give it. But the problem again is because it's usually always the same people, then they get tired of it. They burn out because again, they see others who just come and go and are very happy and and they're totally exhausted. So you have to be clear about your motivation, why you want to be a volunteer. Because if there is a Dharma group and you can volunteer, wow, you create so much merit. They're doing so much for you to create that situation that you can make the Dharma available for people. Can you imagine? By your volunteering, you can create Buddhas. If you wouldn't volunteer, there wouldn't be such places where people can learn about these things. So unfortunately, we don't look that far. Yeah. And also, giving Dharma teachings, it should never be for money or for fame or because you want people to like you. If people give you money, okay. If you need it, you use it, of course. If you don't need it, you pass it on to somebody else. Because it's also good if you do give dana for you, because otherwise you're just taking without giving anything back. So do we start to see now how this is all connected? with each other.
I think every spiritual teaching should be, not about the foods, but about joy of teaching and giving.
Not such a spiritual teacher. I think if we would do our acts, especially the acts of kindness, without wanting anything back, knowing that through this act, I create a happy life for me somewhere down the line in the future, we wouldn't need any reward. It's because we don't believe it, or we don't have the confidence to do that. You know, do you think when I was an alcoholic, do you think when I was an alcoholic I would have thought that so many people would invite me, pay for my trip to go to Israel, to Tahiti, to America, to I don't know where, and invite me to their home, feed me, give me a bed? I would never have thought that this would happen. And I didn't plan it also. When I started with Dharma practice, I started because I wanted to learn. I wanted to transform my own mind. Then people started to ask me for teaching. So then my teacher said, yeah, you can go. So I went. But I'm just as happy just practicing, because I also see I'm not there yet. I still have a lot to learn. And if somebody else is here and gives the same teachings, I go to listen to these teachings, because they're not integrated yet. Okay. I just want to do the 4 powers for the purification, and then we have the whole list. So the 4 powers for the purification, so that it works. Again, it's the mind who purifies. But we need, I think, somebody outside, which is the Buddha. So the first power, which is, without that, nothing works. Regret. Not, oh, I did it because, my partner, we don't have sex with each other anymore, and I'm sure she's not going to mind if I sleep with another woman, because then I leave her alone. These kind of excuses. Yeah? We, now I can really say you. You go and sleep with somebody else, not just sleep. You go and have sexual contact with somebody else. If you realize what you've done, in order to purify, there needs to be regret. And especially if it was just sex, especially for women, it's really not worthwhile, because I have talked to women to whom it has happened. Party, dope, alcohol, it happens so quickly. And then they're sitting there with that act. And they love their husband, just that the husband wasn't at the party. Then they don't know, should I tell him? Should I hide it from him? And it poisons the whole relationship for one short moment of pleasure. But sexual energy is very, very strong. So do not underestimate it. And Lama Yeshe always said, because the monks and nuns have a vow of not having sexual misconduct. At least I'm in an age I have absolutely no problems with keeping it. So, because my libido totally went to sleep also by, since 40, not using it anymore, it calms down. This is the funny thing. I don't feel deprived. I don't feel I'm missing something. This is really funny. So Lama Yeshe always said for the monks and nuns, in case they fall in love, to keep away from the object. Because he says, it's like the paper. The paper by itself doesn't burn. But if you bring it to the flame of the candle, the flame will jump over, and then it will burn. So keep yourself out of dangerous situations. If you are in a good relationship, or you're still married, or in a relationship, and you fall in love with somebody else, really think about this. Do I want to take the risk that I feel miserable for the rest of my life, and I have to feel guilty for the rest of my life, and being afraid that if he comes out, or even, what would you do if your partner comes and tells you that because he or she doesn't want to lie? Huh? What do you think?
Break your heart.
Huh?
It will break your heart. It will break your heart.
It will break your heart. You definitely wouldn't be happy, even if you maybe don't have sex with each other anymore. It's a terrible thing. It creates a lot of suffering. For what? For one moment of pleasure. And also the relationship, I can talk from experience. I had a relationship with a married man. I didn't have it for very long because I knew his wife. And I thought, what am I doing? He pushed, and I can say, oh, he pushed, it's his fault. I was also happy to have sex with him. Come on. But it didn't last very long. It doesn't feel good. It really doesn't feel good. I know now I sound like a moral kind of, but we want to be happy. All these negative actions, they don't create happiness already now. Have you ever had that moment when you want to do something, but then you're strong enough not to do it? The feeling of that? How is that feeling?
It's much greater than
And it lasts. It lasts. The other one, short moment of pleasure, you got what you wanted, and then the bad conscience. It's not worthwhile. So, we need to regret. Regret is a very, very big part in the purification practice. But no guilt. Not going around and feeling guilty and being afraid that it comes out and all this. Go and confess. If it's sexual misconduct, not necessarily to your wife, to your partner, because they won't be a good partner to confess. Go and confess to somebody that you respect.
It can change the karma, like erase it or delete it?
Does it change the karma? Yeah, I think so, it does, because you recognize it as something negative and you need courage to go and confess, and what it changes, it takes away the fear that it will come out. The best is you can confess in front of the whole world, but be careful, because they might use it and use it against you, so not sure. But if you're courageous enough and you say, yes, I did this, for you it's great relief. And the moment it's relief, your mind is at ease. The moment your mind is at ease, the door to the negative actions is pretty much closed. The more we're nervous, the more we're guilty, the more we are unhappy, the more we do these negative actions. We don't care anymore. We steal, we cheat, we lie. We're frustrated, so we kill that mosquito. Who cares? I saw it today because I have a lot of ants in my room, and unfortunately, probably I killed one or two, and because I was feeling dizzy, I didn't care. I really didn't care. I cared theoretically because the theory I have, but here, so at least now I can regret, now that I'm not dizzy anymore. This is why we have a duty to be well, so that we're not going around harming others. Because the more we're not well, there's a big chance of harming others. So then you need to do an action to make up for the debts that we have created. So the actions in general, in Buddhism, they're quite simple. You either do prostrations, many, 100,000 times, up, down, up, down, up, down. Or you say mantras, especially Vajrasattva, which is very powerful. I thought maybe of doing it, but then I thought, maybe it's too many new people, so I don't want to chase you away with these religious things. We'll do a general purification. And if you know the Vajrasattva mantra, then you can just recite it silently. If you do it at home anyway, which you should do, you do it silently anyway. Or do you sing it when you do Vajrasattva practice? Huh?
Depends if I'm alone.
If you're alone, you sing it. Okay. I usually do it silent. Nobody hears what I'm doing. So it's fine to do it silent.
When I sing it, it's more powerful for me.
Huh?
When I sing it, it's more powerful for me.
Not necessarily,
That's how
I think.
feel.
More powerful for the purification, you think?
No, for him.
I don't know. I'm a musician.
Yeah, then it's attachment. There we go. If you would have a really, really not good voice and whatever, and you wouldn't like music, then...
I have a bad voice. I'm trying to sing, but
you're a bad singer.
Yeah, I'm a guitar
okay.
player, so... but when I sing mantras, I feel like I'm really connecting.
Yeah. I mean, singing, I'm not denying, has a lot of influence on the mind also. This is why we do pujas. But the purification mantra, you don't have to feel good. That's the problem also. When we do these things, we think we have to feel good, then it works. No. Even more regret comes up when you do the purification. That's good, because then you see what is going on. We see what we still have to clear up. We see what are the debts that we still have to. We very happily sing the mantra, and we feel so good. Oh, yeah. It's not purification practice. It's some kind of punishment. So actually, in these practices, for those people who do the practices but feel bad when you do them, it's great. It's double bonus. Because you feel bad and you still do it. That's great. That is purification. You don't have to feel bad. Okay? Oh, that's good.
Now I will feel bad when I sing.
Huh?
Now I will feel bad when I sing.
No. Well, there's moments when we can sing Om Mani Padme Hum or these kind of things together. That's fine. Or we can do pujas. Or that's fine. Like we did in the Medicine Buddha retreat. We sang a lot of them. So that's fine also. But in order not to, because in the Medicine Buddha retreat, everybody more or less knew what they were doing, and they were okay with it. Whereas here we have quite a lot of new people, so it's a bit tricky. These, taking refuge and all these things. So, in consideration of you, then, if you know how to do the practice, then anyway you can do it yourself. And if you come to the Lam Rim retreat, probably there we will do it. Yeah. So you have to be a little bit patient until then. So we have to do an action. So that for a Buddhist is easy. You can also do, because the Western mind then says, but hey, come on, that's too easy just to chant a few mantras. But you need to have the regret, and you need to have the power of support, or the power of the object, which is, you visualize the Buddha, and that for a non-Buddhist is difficult. You trust that his power, through his developed mind of love, compassion and wisdom, he's able to purify your negative imprints by the light that comes into you. So, I don't know how a non-Buddhist is going to do that.
It's the Buddha that purifies the imprint?
No, wait. It helps you to purify the imprint. There is 4 things that we need to do. The first one is regret. If you don't regret your negative actions and you chant 1 million mantras, it's not working. It's not working. I think I will explain why we need the Buddha. So we do an action. So in this case, as a Buddhist practice, it's like light coming into you, and we visualize how the negativities leave the body through the lower doors. It's very specific meditations. And you do that again and again and again and again all the time. And at the end, so we take refuge, we generate bodhicitta before we start chanting the mantras, meaning we trust that this light is going to help us. And bodhicitta we develop because we want to be of benefit to sentient beings. So that's the best way of actually paying the debt, by having a strong motivation. Instead of harming them, I want to help them. Now, this can be totally hypocritical. You think it, but you don't mean it at all. And you just continue. Then, of course, it doesn't work. The first power at the end is you make a strong determination to oppose these negative minds. So we have 4, okay? The power of regret, the power of taking refuge and generating bodhicitta, trusting the Buddha that it can cure you from these negative actions. Power of the action, we do an action. It can be an act of generosity because you have cheated, for example. The problem with that is that then you want to receive gratitude from the person that you're generous with. And then, of course, it doesn't work. Because then it's like, I go and buy something in the shop, I pay, and I want the shopkeeper to be grateful to me because I gave him my money. We demand that. I don't know why we demand that. I took something for that money. So why is it that on top of it he has to say thank you? Because I buy things and he can survive. Yeah, okay, but if he would not be there, I couldn't buy anything. So it's actually me who has to say thank you. Thank you for selling these things so I can consume them. I don't have to make them. Then you're a much happier buyer. Then you don't care how much it costs. This is skillful thinking, turning it around. I just finish with this because otherwise I lose the thread here. So power of regret, the power of refuge and bodhicitta, the power of the action. For us it seems to make more sense. It seems to be more punishment doing an action with somebody else. And you can, it's okay. For example, you do something that you really don't like to do. You're kind with your colleague who is always taking advantage of you, and you do for 2 days whatever she wants you to do. That will be the action. You decide yourself, how much you want to do with it. And all of a sudden, it can become a habit to be kind with that colleague, and she doesn't change her behavior, but she doesn't disturb you anymore. See, it's not the behavior of that person that is disturbing you, it's your own attitude. This one sentence who is so simple. We don't have to change people, we only have to learn to like them. If you like somebody, you're so tolerant. If you love somebody, you're even more tolerant. And then the power of determination or resolve, not to do the action again. You will do the action again because the power of habit. So this is good to know so that you stop judging yourself. The habits are very, very, very strong. But the more we take a resolve not to do it, the more we lessen or weaken that habit. And then at one point, the habit will be gone. So these are the purification practices. Why do we need the Buddha? If you trust yourself that you can undo these negative actions alone, no need for the Buddha. But we don't grow up with that view that we are omnipotent. We don't grow up with that view that everything is just in the mind. This is why at the beginning we need an outside object that is more powerful than us, that is compassion and wisdom. See, the karmic imprints, they don't exist from their own side either. They're just a dependent arising. They're also impermanent. But we make them permanent. We don't see the dynamics of them. And then with the guilt, we keep them and we strengthen them. So that's why we need the Buddha, because we don't have enough trust in our Buddha potential. The best way, this is for the Buddhists now, the best is if you can see that Buddha before you, this is me, the future result of my practice. That would be the best, because then you keep going in that direction, And it's not arrogance, it's you know what you want. This is why, for example, when you see me blow out the candles, because usually they say you shouldn't blow on the altar because your breath is impure. So I dissolve myself into emptiness mentally. I'm not saying I can do it, but at least I fake that I can do it. And then I generate myself as Chenrezig, and then I blow them out. So it can be, it's very good to do these things from time to time. This, you make progress on the path. And by the way, when you visualize the Buddhas like this, you always think this is my living teacher who is actually a Buddha. Because what happens then, you allow for the teacher to make that contact where you allow the blessings of the teacher to come into you. And then your practice goes fairly easy. This is why it's important to have a teacher, so that we allow them to lead us. Okay, so that's karma. Now we got all the facts. So now, you had a question, I thought. You still have it?
About the action in the karma. What about the non-action? For example, if I see something horrifying and I'm not doing anything to stop it, it leaves a mark. I know it leaves a mark at my feeling. Does it count as karma, as a complete action, for example? Or
what do you think? You have all the facts here. What do you think? Now you can figure it out.
Yeah, but I mean,
No, but what do you think?
I think so, because I have an intention. maybe I don't have afterwards. No, I think is it yes?
No, it's not.
Why? I have any intention, object, action, or non-action.
You don't have an intention. What is the intention? That okay? Let's say like this. You want to harm somebody, and wait, you want to harm somebody, but you don't have the guts to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Then you see somebody else harming that person, and you rejoice. Then you create a negative action. But if you can't help, or if you're too lazy to help, at the moment, because we're still on the lower level, it doesn't create a negative imprint. So don't become too complicated. Don't become too demanding. First, we really learn the abstaining from negative actions.
No, to be honest, it's very practical. I mean, there's a lot of examples, but it's very practical question. It's not theoretical.
I know, but
if I see rape, and for example, I don't stop it. Okay, I have intention. I mean, I say, okay, I will do nothing. I do an action. I do nothing. I keep walking. Maybe I.
But walking is not a negative action. If you have, again, you know, it depends who you are and how. If you have the power to stop somebody,
yeah, okay.
or let's say at least you call the police. Yeah, I mean, but it's not counted as a negative action in what we're doing right now. If then you have bodhisattva vows, then it will become a negative action because that's higher. But we're still at the level where we don't. Where we learn not to harm others.
It's a good chance to accumulate good merits if he's helping.
Exactly. I'm not saying you shouldn't help. I'm not saying that. But don't make it too heavy when you pass a situation that you feel frightened or overwhelmed or, you know, I think none of us who is sitting here would walk by without trying to do something, at least calling somebody. None of us. Would you walk by? Again, this is why. Again, we're asking about other people. We don't know about other people. This is for us to know. So I think all of us have hearts that are open enough and see the suffering. If we can do something about it, we do. I would maybe not try to interfere. I would call somebody.
But I see a lot of people lying, for example, and sometimes
yeah, okay.
they do nothing.
Again, this is what?
I see people, my friends,
they lie.
I see them lying, for
yeah.
example. I mean, if we want to do it practical, I don't see rapes.
Okay, when you see them lying and you tell them...
Sometimes I don't do anything.
Yeah, but you're not God. You can't stop them.
Maybe I can.
Okay, then if you can, then try, then do it. But it can also go, it can also go totally wrong. Because what I did the other day, I was eating lunch with somebody. And it's good that nobody knows that person, so I can tell the story. And we both ordered pasta with vegetables. And so she picked out all the vegetables, left the pasta, then called the waitress and said, "Oh, there's so little vegetables in my pasta." And I really looked at her with big eyes, and she said, "What?" So I told her, I said, "But are you aware of what you're doing?" I'm pretty sure she doesn't want to see me anymore. I'm pretty sure that friendship is maybe even finished. She didn't like to be told. I told her, but you know, for her it was normal. So you can do that, but try to make it not to hurt the other person. I was shocked. I was really shocked. You see, this is a little bit, I think it's especially here also, and it starts in other countries also, to get whatever you can without having to pay for it. So that's also a habit. And you see others doing, then you feel stupid not doing it. This is the problem. So, of course, if you can stop others from cheating, lying, killing and all that, by all means do, but very often we can't. And then they get angry. You know, some of my schoolmates, when there's a mosquito, they go like, especially in front of me, on purpose, they go, and then they look at me and say, "Oh." So I said, "Look, I don't care, it's your karma. You're responsible. They are responsible for that."
And you're not.
I'm not. I can tell them not to do it. I can tell them what I'm telling you. And then they have to decide what they want.